Hello, hello, hello. Good evening, good evening, good evening. And welcome everybody. As you are coming in, I welcome you. If you don't know who I am Latanya Smiley. I am your trauma recovery coach, helping you get through what you have gone through. And today we are going to begin, we'll go to the second phase of our series, Stuck in the Middle. And we are talking about unforgiveness on today. So I hope that you guys could hear me and everything is good on your end. I hope you guys could hear me. Now I'm going to get started and we are going to move right along. And so let's get into it. And so forgiveness. Oh boy, we all hate that F word right there, right? We hate the F word of forgiveness and what it entails and what you must do to be able to forgive those who have offended you. And this is where people struggle because you expect your journey to look like everybody else's journey. You expect your journey to be quick. You don't know how. It's frustrating because you think you forget and then you have forgiven, but then you are triggered. And so you just find yourself in this holding pattern of not knowing how to forgive, what it is that you need to forgive, and move forward. But don't worry. Today, I am going to help you out on today and show you how to get through what you have gone through. I'm going to give you some tips. And so, of course, we're going to always make sure that when it comes to teaching of trauma that we remain sensitive because everybody's level of trauma is not the same. There are different levels and you have to be able to determine where you are and you have to be able to journey. Your journey does not look like anybody else's journey, it looks like your journey. And so let's get into this. In the book of Ephesians, chapter 4 and 32, it says, to be kind to one another, tenderhearted, forgiving each other, just as God in Christ has also forgiven you. What happens when you are the one who can't forgive you on what has happened to you? Sometimes we cannot be tenderhearted and forgiving to ourselves, our self talk. I did a series on Talk to Me Nice, right? And that was talking about how we talk to ourselves based on the things that we have gone through. And it's very important that you give yourself some grace, that you're kind to yourself, that you're tenderhearted to yourself, that you talk to yourself nice, and that you are able to give yourself permission to feel what it is that you need to feel, but also to get through what you are going through, right? To be able to come out on the other side. And so, what does it look like to be, if the scripture is saying for me to be tenderhearted to you, I can't be tenderhearted to you and rough on me. I have to know how to treat me before I learn how to treat you. And sometimes we feel as if we know how to treat one another, but we don't. It's just one big trauma bond. And so let's look at it. Forgiveness is only the only way to move forward in what you have gone through. That is a big part of your healing process. That's a big part of you healing from the offense that has happened to you, is to be able to forgive. What does that look like? I am so glad that you asked that. I'm so glad that you asked that. So it's not easy. There's no easy way. It's not emotionally based because your emotions, as I always teach, are not your truth. Your emotions will keep you in the valley of depression because they're not your truth. They are feelings, right? Um, they're not based on your forgiveness. If it's emotional based, you're going to stay there because depending on the depths of it, depending on the how close the relationship was of the one who hurt you, all of that is going to play a role in your forgiveness process. So it's important that we look at these things and be able to see where you are now. The tenure of the offense. You've been offended for years, right? Sometimes since a child, and now you've grown. The severity, how deep the pain, the offender, the ones closest to you, hurt you the most, and we have to be able to get past that, right? The closer the relationship, the deeper the hurt, and so it's important to forgive so that you can be free from the bondage that goes along with being offended. Remember that offense is the bait of Satan, and we need to know how to heal quickly and be able to get past what it is that we have gone through. That's what we need to do. And when we cannot do that, that's what keeps us stuck in the pattern of just bitterness, anger, and unforgiveness. And so let's see how we move past it. First of all, you have to be able to identify. Let me back up a little bit. No one, let's just nip this in the bud right now. No one can tell you what your forgiveness journey should look like. People can't tell you, and surely don't let religion make you feel guilty because of your process that looks different from everybody else's. Some might get it quick, some might get it not so quick. Again, it's based on what has happened to you. But don't let people or religion tell you that it's an overnight thing. Some people are still trying for years, right? And maybe I forgave quickly, and I think that you're supposed to forgive quickly, but yours might take a little bit of more time than mine's based on what you've gone through and how you're going through and how you see it and how you're processing. That's a big thing. Understand that it's not no magic wand that can be raised that's going to make it. It doesn't go away overnight. In order for you to learn how to forgive, you have to be honest with yourself. You have to grow up, and you have to be able to move into your journey with intentionality that I'm ready. I'm ready to deal with this. I'm ready to speak about it. You can't heal from what you're not willing to talk about. And that's where you can't heal when you're blaming everybody else. It's an inward thing. It's not an outward thing, because you can point the finger at somebody else, never take accountability, and then you remain in unforgiveness and they done moved on with their life. And because you're not mature enough, and I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm just saying your perception, your perspective of that thing has to come up so you can see it from a different point of view so you can move into it. You have to be able to allow that P word process to take place, and then you put in the work to do what it is that you have to do. And I hope that this is helping y'all. And so the first step is to identify the injury, right? As an individual, and you're seeking um, freedom from hurt and pain, it's important to reflect on what happened. Now, you can't stay there, but you got to reflect on it in order to heal again, because we got to get to the proper diagnosis. If you was to go to the doctor, they want to know what happened, what time it happened, when it happened, how did it happen, which is what we call in medicine the mechanism of injury. It determines on the injury what was the mechanism of injury. Was your mechanism of injury a car accident, a rape, a divorce, abandonment by your parents? What was your mechanism of injury? The loss of a spouse. Whatever the mechanism of the injury was, is going to determine the depths of your journey into your healing process, right? Or did you experience betrayal? Did you experience injustice, embarrassment, childhood trauma, deception, whatever it was, right? Did the injury involve church issues, adultery, broken trust, abuse of power? What did it involve? And with that, you have to be able to understand that it can become a self-defeating obsession, right? Because you allow others, you want others to tell you, you know how to heal, and they don't know how to heal because some things that they're still dealing with, and they're trying to walk you through and tell you how it should look, and it ain't working for them. You have to be able to seek it out. But in order for that, you have to know your identity, that you're not what happened to you, but you have to have the courage to face it and move forward. And so what emotions are you experiencing as a result of that injury? What's your symptoms, right? If you was to call 911 right now in the midst of all that, what is your symptoms? What are your symptoms? Are you angry? Are you bitter? Do you know what happened? Or have you lost your memory because the brain has shut down some of it? You had a glimpse of it. Did where are you at in that? Are you feeling fear? Are you feeling anger? Are you feeling rejection or cheated? Or do you feel trapped in it? Are you feeling overwhelmed? overwhelmed? What are you feeling? Or do you feel like you're shame? Do you feel like you're confused? Are you numb? Numbness is a thing. Are you guilt? Do you feel guilty? Do you feel like you have been humiliated? Are you vulnerable? What are your feelings that you're feeling? And you got to properly identify the injury. You got to properly identify your feelings. And you have to sometimes you have to confront some people that you don't want to confront. Again, depending on how close they were to you, right? Sometimes you got to identify the injury. There's things that I'm still identifying in my 50s that is the reason why one area of my life is I'm stuck, right? Like not being able to ask anything because my mother always said, when you go in the store, don't ask me for nothing. So it can be as small as that. But you got to properly identify the injury, being honest, and honestly uh, identifying your offender, who specifically inflicted pain on your life. Yeah, there's a thought, right? Who did it? What if it's self inflicted? What if I put this pain on myself? Right? But who did it is very important. Who was it? Your mother, your father, your sister, your brother, the teacher, who inflicted it, an ex, your child, or whatever it is. You have to be honest about who inflicted this pain on you. And you can't when it comes to this, you can't say they. Who is they? You got to put a name to it. You have to be specific because you want to know exactly what it is that you're forgiving, and how to go about that, right? A mother's wound is different from if anybody else hurt you. A daddy wound is different, maybe from if your mom hurt you. Your friend hurt you is different from if your husband hurt you. So it's important to be specific because every level of injury requires a different amount of care. I hope this is making sense. Um, a generalized day won't help you because you're not clearly naming those who brought the hurt into your life, and being able to do that will be able to pave the road um, for you immediately, um, to immediately ultimately release the offense. Who is they? Are you mad at the judge? Are you mad at who are you angry at? Who offended you? That's how you get to the root of it. Now it can be painful to acknowledge your wound, right? Again, it takes courage. Understand, just because you're not speaking to them or you cut them off doesn't mean that you have forgiven them. And we want to get to the forgiveness part. That they out there living their best life. They done moved on. They 10 relationships in since they hurt you. And you're still hurt because you think because you cut them off or you're not dealing with it. Could it be that you're numb to it and that's why you're not dealing with it? And numbness will go away eventually. And so it's painful to acknowledge a wound, to reflect on you got to reflect on the emotional repercussions and name the offender. Me naming my offender is going to put my mind back in place. You might be tempted instead to minimize, to rationalize. I can't say that. So many people going to me, how you write a book? And, I don't want to tell on this person and I don't want to tell on them. Well, if they didn't want to be a subject in the book, then they should have treated you better, right? But I'm sorry. You can't let the identity of that person stop you from being in freedom. You can't allow the identity of that person to stop you from moving forward, to be disassociated with your life because you don't want to identify. You waiting for them to die out for you to write the book? Baby, some of them need to see that book up front because it's freeing for you, and it'll be freeing for them after a while too. And so you want to minimize, you want to rationalize, you want to disassociate, you want to build a defense around the wounded area, you want to keep the family safe, you want to go through all of these things that are hindering and making you feel as though Maybe I shouldn't say that when you should say it. It's important that you say it. It's important that you speak about it, right? And so, however, when you thoroughly identify your injury, it requires honest acknowledgement of what happened to you, how it made you feel, and who caused the pain. Let me run that back for y'all one more time. To thoroughly identify the injury, it requires honest acknowledgement of what happened to you, how it made you feel, and who caused your pain. If you can say what happened to you, how it made you feel, and who caused your pain, we're already on the road to forgiveness and healing. If you can't heal once again from what you refuse to heal, what you refuse to talk about, what you refuse to identify. Okay? And so, um, and here goes a good point too. It's not about focusing on the forgiveness. Forgiveness is not about focusing on that. It's about focusing on the solution, being the solution. It's about seeing yourself in the solution. It's about seeing yourself on the other side. And what does that look like, right? Praying for God to show you how. First of all, how did this happen and where was you? Because sometimes that's how we feel. Where were you? But also asking Him um, to help me forgive this person. Help me be able, sorry, y'all, help me be able to forgive this person and move through what it is that I need to remove, right? It requires me to shift intentionally. It requires me to lean on everything that I know and that I need to help me in this hour. That's the only way that I'm going to get through. Okay? I hope this is so far so good and we're walking through it and getting through it. And we're going to be okay. Just breathe a little bit because I know it's a lot. Uh, when you focus on the shift and not being numb. Now, let me tell you what I mean by numbness. Here's a word: rebound, rebound pain, right? And rebound pain happens when you come out of surgery. Maybe you had a C-section, maybe you had another surgery or some sort, or you take painkillers or whatever. Those painkillers are like uh, tablets that make you numb from the pain. But eventually, if you continue to take it, you're never going to heal because you have to have a pain threshold to come off the medication. You have to be able to let the numbness go away. So I believe that when traumatic incidents happen to us, that sometimes we are so numb to it and we're numb for years. Like you're in an iceberg, you're frozen in time. You don't feel the pain. You do everything to stop feeling the pain. But when you are willing to face it and you come off of those things, whether it's sex, whether it's drugs, whether it's addiction, whatever it is, right? When you come out of that agreement with what has been helping you with the pain and you allow yourself to feel it. An athlete taking painkillers, there's so many people that are addicted to painkillers because they are always taking them. They never want to see how I can handle this pain in a different way. I don't want to be addicted to these pills. How can I handle it a different way? And they just can't stop. You took one and it makes me sleep good. I remember having a surgery and I was like, the Percocet make me sleep good. So even when I didn't have the pain, I would take the medicine. Well, when it comes to traumatic events, people numb themselves all kind of ways and they never experience the pain of it. You have to sit in that pain and you have to deal with it layer by layer in order to be able to get well. Or, you know what happens? You'll live a numb life, not knowing what your pain point is until somebody steps on it. You can go a long time without feeling the pain, a long time without feeling it. And then when you feel it, you're like, oh, what was that? You think that is something new, and it's not. It's something that was numb, and now the numbness has worn off, and you're feeling it. And so you need to be able to identify, where am I numb? My C-section scar is still numb. My baby is 22 years old, and it's still tender in certain places where I touch it as if the C-section happened 2 years ago. Let me say that again. My scar is still tender to touch. And he's 22 years old. And if you touch it the wrong way, it'll make you cringe. That's how it is with the offensive, with our things that we find hard to forgive. We find it hard to forgive because we don't want to touch it. We don't want to deal with it. And so we don't know how it feels. As long as I'm not touching that area, it's good, it's clear. But the first time I have to put pressure on it, if I have to clean that area, wash that area, it hurts. Um, I thought this was good too. Phantom pain, right? Let's say you have a cancer in a certain part of your body. They remove that body part, they remove that organ from your body. People have stated that they have felt pain in that area. And you're like, how? You know, my mother, when she had her breast surgery, she said, I still feel my breast in pain. And I was like, you don't have a breast. But when you look at phantom pain, although the thing that was contaminated is moved, the pain is still there. The body, the nerves still tell you that it's still there. So your mind, although the offense happened 40, 60 years ago, your mind is still telling you as if it was yesterday. And that's what we want to deal with. We want to be able to think on those things that's going to move us from unforgiveness into forgiveness. Forgiveness is very, very tricky because you can think that you forgave somebody. And guess what? It's because you ain't seen them. You ever heard of out of sight, out of mind? As soon as that person comes along, and it could be going good at first, and then something happens and your mind gets triggered and you remember. Sometimes you're mad so long you can't even remember why it is that you're angry. What am I angry about? But if we fix our minds on the things that are noble, right? I believe it's Philippians 4 and 8. It says, focus on whatever things are true. We focus on our emotions, and my emotions ain't never been true. They just my emotions. I can be truthful about how I feel, but I can't inflict those emotions on other people. I have to deal with my emotions. What's true, what's honest, right? A lot of times we're blaming other people when it is ourselves that we need to look at ourselves. How did I get into this situation? Because it ain't always the other person. There's there is things that have happened to you, and you are inflicting your hurt on other people. So it's important for you to identify what's honest, what's pure, right? What's lovely, what's good, what's of praise, what's of good report. None of that makes sense when you're trying to forgive somebody. You're like, yeah, I'm just going to think about what was good about that person. No, the mind is going to show you every bad. I can't stand that person, right? Until your heart gets in tune. They got to come together. The heart is deceitful above all things else. Forgiveness does not mean reconciliation. Doesn't mean that you got to go to their party to eat Thanksgiving dinner with them. It doesn't mean any of that. And I hated when I was in my process to hear people say forgiveness is for the other person. It's for you. It's not for the other person. What? What? What do you mean it's not for the other person, it's for me. I'm the one who was hurt. I'm the one who over here in tears. I'm the one who suffered loss. And that's where we miss it when we try to thinking this for everybody else. So you're hurting yourself. You're like cutting off your nose to spite your face because you don't want to forgive. And so I don't talk to them no more. I block them. Blocking don't mean forgiveness. Blocking doesn't mean forgiveness. You know, you have to be able to, for example, you could not tell me that I did not forgive Olivia. That's my mom. You cannot tell me that I did not forgive her, right? Years ago, I forgave her now and I love her and we are so in a good place, right? But when I thought I had forgave her, I had been doing ministry and I had went to the speaking engagement and I had went to speak. And after I had spoke or whatever, at the end of the service, the prophet came over to me and she was like, that word was good. I just want to tell you that I heard the Holy Spirit say that you need to forgive your mother. Since I got a whole attitude and said, I did forgive my mother. What do you mean I need to forgive her? She was like, don't kill the messenger. I'm just telling you. I was so mad that she said that to me. Just in my mind, I had forgave my mother. Well, after all of that, when I got in the car, I had a 2-hour drive home. And I sat in the car with what she said, Jesus. I sat in the car with what she said about forgiving my mom. And I was like, well, you're going to have to show me the area that I did not forgive her and what it's supposed to look like because I forgave her and she's over there. I had put her over there in the corner on the shelf way up high to where I couldn't reach it, didn't want to think about her. Don't ask me about her, what she's doing, how she is. Don't say I look like her. None of that. Because in my mind, I have forgave her. What else you want from me? I forgave her. You know? And I heard the Spirit say that's not true forgiveness. True forgiveness is not throwing people away. Here we go. It's not about throwing people away. It's about loving them past their pain. What? What do you mean? Love them past their pain? She hurt me. You talking about? There are some things that you will never understand, but you have to understand that this is how it works. And so I went back and I was like, "You're right. I don't deal with her. I don't speak to her. I put her in a corner because it's easier to put her in a corner than to talk to her about how she hurt me and what that hurt looks like and what was done. It's easier to do that than and so I went through a real forgiveness process. I journeyed to the point to where she was no longer a trigger. Um, Instead of me not calling her for years, I began to try to call her at least once a month until I kept asking God, show me how to forgive her. Show me what forgiveness looks like. Make me an expert at forgiveness so that I can forgive not only her, but everybody else that I need to forgive. And it was in that moment where he showed me that you have to release the offense. That's what it is. Putting her in the corner did not release the offense. It just made me feel good because I did not deal with her. And so, as much as whatever you're waiting for is held up because of your unforgiveness, you're stuck in the middle and you need to make a decision, right? So, we went through that you have to be able to identify what caused your pain and how they caused their pain. You got to put a win and all of that to it. But you want to calculate the losses. What was lost in all of that? What was lost as you were going through what it is that you were going through? What was lost in all of that? When you begin to calculate your losses, you'll be able to see, wow, all the years that I've been in unforgiveness, I lost a lot. I lost a whole lot. A matter of fact, what was the loss? Did you lose your child? Did you lose your spouse? Did you lose your home? What did you lose? Your innocence? Whatever it is, what you lose. Were they intangible? Were they tangible? Did you lose freedom? Yeah. Especially, did you lose your reputation? Did you lose your identity in the midst of the unforgiveness? Right? Um, when it comes to things like murder and all of that stuff, the hard things that you need to forgive, how does that match? So when you're calculating, you're uncovering, you need to uncover the answers, um, and you have to change your perspective. One of the hardest things to do is to understand that God loves those that we hate. And we have to learn how to hate the sin but love the sin. I know y'all don't want to hear none of this. When I was looking at my notes, I was like, this one is tough, right? So as when you realize how much unforgiveness plays a role in how far you go, how you go there, your attitude determines your altitude. Your attitude determines your elevation. You got to own your own burden. You got to look like, okay, this happened to me, but what it has gone on since then? It happened to me when I was 2 years old. Here I am, 52 years old, still being mean, still being nasty, still holding grudges against people who did not hurt me. I'm still bleeding on people who did not hurt me. You have to look at it. I'm 60 years old and I'm still bitter and I'm still angry and I'm still mad or whatever. And I smile every now and then, but it's fake because I still go home and I cry at night. I'm just still angry. And it doesn't matter how long you've been angry, as long as you're able to go in and address it. Let me take a sip of this water because I'm drinking. And so, in order for you to walk in forgiveness, you got to trust again. I'm going to give y'all call to action. You got to walk in trust. First of all things are working together for the good of those who love the Lord. That means that no matter what I'm feeling right now, it's working together for my good. I hate it, when you're going through, I wish I would have got the lesson earlier. Everything that has been snatched away, torn away, every circumstance. It was not about, God removing it. It was about me enduring like a good soldier, getting to the other side and being able to say, wow, this did work for my good. And now I'm able to be the hands and the heart of God in the earth, to be able to help other people through what they have been through, that I'm helping people overcome by the words of my testimony and how I got over. You got to walk in forgiveness, because where the Spirit of the Lord is, there's liberty. And you're in bondage because you are afraid to let go. You got to ask yourself, what has holding on to it? Where has that gotten you? People are walking out your life and you like, it's everybody else and it's never you. Well, when you own your burden, that means like, okay, this happened. This did happen. And now I take back my power. Because as long as you are in it, you're not walking in your power. You're not walking in your liberty. You're not free. But when you decide, I'm going to take this back, that's where your power comes from, right? And so you have to be able to pray for what you want to see in your God. Our Father, my Father, Abba Father, how long are you going to let me lay here and don't come to help me? Like, I've been there the whole time, but you ain't give me consent to touch it. What? You watched me go through all of this and you did not? Yeah, because you didn't never offer it up to me. You kept trying to do it in your own might. And about your own might, how is that working for you? He said, when I come to the end of myself, when I'm weak, he is strong. So I need to be weak. I need to get weak. And so I can let him, I have to be like, for Daddy, I don't like it here. Can you help me in this place? It says, when the righteous cry out, he will deliver us. Sometimes, you know, we have these conversations and we're not even honest with ourselves. So I know we're not honest in our prayer life of what we really want. What we really want to say is, can you just kill everybody who has hurt you? Can you hurt them? But to be honest is to be like, can you help me? Show me who I am so that I can walk in it. Some people's identity has been shattered from birth, but show me who I am so that I can walk in who I am and all of my freedom and everything that goes along with it. When you get sick and tired of fetal position, when you get sick and tired of having no peace, of having no joy, because when you don't forgive, you have torment in your life. You don't sleep good at night. These things are chasing you. They're tormenting you because they know that they can, because you have not dealt with it. And you have to see yourself out of it on the other side. You can't keep rehearsing what's already been removed. It's gone. The incident happened. But there is a legacy of trauma that we spoke about on other videos, and it follows you. But how you keep rehearsing it, you keep bringing it over, and that's how the brain is wired. It has memories, all right? But we have to be intentional that I got to get it out my heart, and then I'll get it out my head. Create in me a clean heart, oh God. Get it out my heart, and then it will get out my head, because I'll start my thoughts to be higher, my thoughts to be pleasant, my thoughts to be things that's pure, that's noble, that's with good rapport, things that are honest. And when you move to that place, that's when you're okay. When we stay anchored in the past, we continue to replay the worst things that happen as we re-wound and re-injure ourselves. So now it becomes self-inflicted because the offender is long gone. And so now the pain is self-inflicted. Is to re-injure. You know, you get in too soon. You're not well enough to be married again. You're not well enough to be in a relationship with your friends and have friends again. You're not well enough. And so you go into these relationships again. You go from one mate to another mate. You go from one friend to another friend. And everybody is saying you can't keep a man, you can't keep a friend, and you're the common denominator, then it's you. It's self-inflicted. That means that it has become chronic at this point. It's not an acute incident. It's a chronic. Acute is it something that happened, sudden onset. Chronic is repetitive, that it keeps happening. So you're the chronic repeat offender. That's what it is. And it's self-inflicted injuries that are done by you. Now, this is not to beat you up in any way. This is to get you through what you're going through. So it's better to invest your time in healing and elevation instead of focusing on your trauma. So we want to look at the valley of depression and what that looks like, right? Loss and pain. It comes with that emotional price tag on how I'm going to be. How I'm going to be going forward, how I'm going to be coming out of this, how I come out of this. The valley of depression is a thing. The enemy will keep you there because you won't fight. You won't understand that on the other side of this is my freedom. I'm right there. I just need to go a little bit further. If I would have walked a little bit further, I would have came out on the other side. But how long you sit there, it is based on you and your actions and what you do. Or else again, it will turn into bitterness. Bitterness turns into anger. Anger can turn into malice or murder. And so you want to deal with your bitterness, right? God said unforgiveness is like the sycamore tree. That bitterness, it takes root. And if you look up that tree, the sycamore tree, you'll understand the roots run so deep, right? Um, Characteristics. They find it impossible to speak peaceably with others in the family, with anybody. They just don't have those peace. They speak with cutting words and trying to hurt others deeply. Um, they use language that's characterized in hostility, and they're always suspicious. They criticize what others say or do, disrespect others, and they're unthankful. They resist help or change. They strive to keep past injuries fresh as they happened yesterday. And so you have to be able to see, am I ready? Am I really ready for this? Because a lot of you are called to be first responders, but you're still wounded. And so a wounded healer can cause more pain to somebody else. People are waiting for you. People are bleeding out, waiting for you to come on the scene, but you're stuck. And that's why it's important that we deal with this, that you mourn the loss, mourn it, but then allow yourself to get back to your identity. Oh, it was a loss. I'll take the L, but I got to move forward. It is beauty in unforgiveness. It is beauty in knowing that I'm going to get past this, and that I made it past it and I'm getting there. And so nobody is saying that forgiveness is amnesia, because it's not. You got to decide which road you're going to take. If you have to decide what I'm going to do. It's not amnesia. It's never forgive and forget. That doesn't work. You got to lay the axe to the root, but it's a hard work that must be done for you to move through. It's not synonymous with the word trust, right? Because a lot of people, if I choose to forgive, Even the person that raped me and molested me, I don't mean that I'm going to trust them again, right? It's not releasing the offender from the responsibility. It's not looking the other way. This happened. So I don't want you to think that that's what I'm saying. It's, but what it is a rare, difficult, costly, um, a way of making sure that my heart is clean. What does it mean? What does it mean? It's rare, it's difficult, and it's costly, right? That sounds like something that I don't understand. You don't understand it until you're the one that needs to be forgiven. You don't understand until you want somebody to erase the hurt that you put on them. It's not wiping it off a chalkboard. You can write the word hurt and then wipe it. But when your heart is involved, and you need to be forgiven, or their heart is involved and you need to be forgiven, you see it a different way. That if you put it on the chalkboard, it went away. No, it's on the eraser now, right? And so, whatever you choose to forgive, you're saying to the one who offended you, I'm willing to bear the consequences of what happened to me and erase the debt from your ledger. That's why it's difficult and costly. Oh, even when you say that, I'm willing to bear the consequences of what happened to me and erase the debt from your ledger. You don't owe the debt to me. I'm going to erase that, the penalty that I had on you, the charges that I placed on you, what I wanted you to pay because you hurt me. I erase it. And where do I put that? I put it at the cross of Jesus because he paid the debt for all to be well and for all to be saved. So when you choose to forgive, you give a gift to yourself as well as to the one who offended you. Forgiveness that is granted me, you'll erase the debt from the ledger and not bring the issue up again. Hmm? What you say, T? It means that you could recall the hurt, but you will not relive it. Recall, but don't relive it. No constant reviewing, no rehashing of the old hurt, no going back to sit on the gravestones and where the past grievances lie, not pulling the receipts out your phone, out your purse, not to do all of that. Is to be true, uh, um, is buried. And the hornet of the ministry, of the hornet of the memory, it may fly again, but forgiveness has drawn its sting. The curse is gone because unforgiveness does leave you in a curse, and nothing can alter the facts. The facts is that what happened happened. And it happened, and it's going to be there forever. No matter what happens going forward, it happened. But the meaning of what it means in my life and the significance that it had in my life, the meaning that it had in your life and the significance that it had in your life, it can be changed. And that's what forgiveness is. And so I'm going to call you to action. And I want you to understand the last thing I said. The memory is powerless at this point once you forgive. The memory is powerless to arouse anger. There's no anger there. I'm free. We can discuss it. The goal is to get to being free. And the past is the past. The past is really the past. The past is not your future. You are not what happened to you, and you're not your past. Um, that memory can arouse you. Once you have fully forgiven, you're able to move forward. And even in that moving forward, it can be a lonely journey because not too many take that road to forgive. It could be a lonely journey. And you may have lost a sense of community as you take that different road, but now you have an opportunity to connect with others. Now, as you honestly share the story of your pain and your journey of forgiveness, you're going to find that when you're with the right people, we all have gone through something, no matter what the status, no matter what the culture, no matter what the race, no matter, what the ethnicity, we've all gone through something. And one of the benefits of the pain is that it opens your eyes to others and increases your sensitivity. It increases your sensitivity to the losses they have experienced. Could we be sensitive to one another? That's why you could it be that what I went through, you went through. We share the same symptoms. We share the same losses. And this whole journey is about getting healed, getting rid of the hurt and heal. And we may have been hurt in relationships, and that's why we feel that we don't need community because it was a community that helped me. But I want to tell you that there's a safe place. There is a safe place for you to heal, and you just have to get there. And so, as we bring this to a close, and um, I give you my call to action, which is to begin to journey, and in your journey, begin to journal what it is that has hurt you, right? We're making a choice. First of all, I just want you to make this choice that I'm going to make a choice. I'm making a conscious choice, an intentional choice to forgive. I'm making an intentional choice to forgive. In my intentional choice, I'm asking you, God, that I accept what happened to me. It's there. I accept it. But I mean, I need my heart to be changed. And you're going to ask God to change your heart into that place of freedom. Let me reach my freedom. Put those around me that have gone through what I have gone through so I can get to my freedom. That is the end result. So, in your call to action, I want you to begin your journey. And for today, I'm just going to give you to take responsibility for your part in it. And I know that sounds harsh, but your part is to heal. Your part is to take this that I'm giving you and to take it like you would do the medicine that the doctor gave you for a broken ankle, a broken arm, a headache, right? And I want you to face it with your pen. The pen is powerful in your healing. And so I want you to take your pen and I want you to begin to write on what it is that has hurt you. And trust me, once you begin to write it and you begin to see it and you begin to see where you are, things will get better. So once, can we say that again? I'm going to write what happened. But before I even write what happened, the only thing that I want you to do is write yourself a letter, making a commitment that today I make a conscious decision to start my journey in my healing of forgiveness. Forgiveness starts here with me. Forgive her, and her is you. Forgive him, or him is you. But forgive you so that you can forgive the next person. It's the only thing I want you to do is start your journey to forgiving you. I'll be back tomorrow with more tips on how you can heal. But I hope that this blessed you, and I pray that you have a blessed night as you write. Even if the tears fall and all you got is some water on the paper because that's all you got, then that's the beginning of your journey. And so you guys walk completely in your journey, flat footed to the end. I love you all. Be blessed. This is the Trauma Recovery Coach signing off.